welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond, and London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada. We love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south, in the land of the free and the home of the brave, on a beautiful November the 24th, 2020. Ronald Deportes, bonjour, Big C. How's it going for you good old boys down south?
Charlton, we're doing okay down here in the South. Your buddy Donald Trump came out of his basement today for 1 minute, saw his shadow and ducked back in. I guess he thought it was Groundhog Day. But once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, first responders. They never duck behind a shadow, Charlton, and always get the job done.
No, they never duck behind a shot. You know, he talked about pardoning. He wants to pardon the turkey that he wants to be part of today's show. And sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive Eurotel and Charlton and Big C Center, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars, also all around the world, just say Google or Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear, welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic. He'll do his thing from 3,000 miles away, and I really appreciate the way things are growing with Big C Sports. You can follow Big C Sports on Spotify. You can follow Big C Sports on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, and a lot of smart TVs all over the universe. But you better have a smart TV, or you'll be sitting there looking at a still picture. Man, I love pausing, Big C. I'm pausing the way POTUS paused today on pardoning that turkey. He's pausing. He was just a practice pause for POTUS, Big C, but we'll never pause on our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. Big C, why is that so important to you?
Well, Charlton, we got 57 days of this crap left before your buddy Donald Trump has to find some place to go.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's called a moving company, but if he hasn't, he's got to get the hell up out of where he is.
Yeah.
But, Charlton, we lose some 14 veterans a day to suicide in this country. Actually, 24. And he doesn't care. He doesn't speak about that. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't even talk about helping Americans with COVID-19.
No.
As our veterans even suffer with COVID-19, Charlton. We give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton, because we care. We care about those veterans who have given us an opportunity to live the life that we live in this country that's called America.
Yep.
But America has not served them well in trying to assimilate back into society, Charlton, which has led to suicide to too many veterans on a daily basis. They are mentally, physically, and financially destitute, Charlton, in many ways. And this country has not lent a hand to those veterans to help them out or understand their plight. They just think that they went off to war to serve this country, and that should be enough.
Yeah.
So we give out the National Suicide Prevention Hotline number, Charlton. We want more Americans to do that, to help stem the suicide in this great country.
And we will do our part, Big C. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net, and you can definitely get to some help. Also, very happy to be affiliated with Valley, home with weekly TV on Dish TV, DirecTV, AT&T Uverse, TV 53, home of the San Francisco Giants and the Say Hey Kid, as well as a home run leader, Barry Bonds. When you reach out to him, just tell him Big C Central. Our goal is simple: recruit 10,000 real estate agents and brokers all over this great country to put people back to work just like McDonald's does it, car dealerships do it, sports teams do it, watch TV and real estate work for you. 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. If you're looking for opportunities in real estate, go to bigcsports.pacwm.com. That's bigcsports.pacwm.com, and you can definitely get some help. Really appreciate the way things are going. Most of our loans are underwritten by Quicken Loans on the wholesale side. So, Big C, when you saw POTUS and he had the turkey, did you notice how he got the whitest turkey he could find to come to the White House? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, that turkey was just saying, don't even pardon me. Just let me out. Go ahead on, sacrifice me because you've sacrificed so many other Americans.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything sexist, but I did notice Melania Trump, she was so far back from that turkey. She hasn't cut a turkey in her life, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, she didn't want to be next to anything alive, so I guess that's the reason why she stays next to Donald Trump.
Yeah, that's all fair. She did not put her hands on that turkey. She's so snooty-tooty, Big C, if that makes sense to you. Speaking of being snooty-tooty, all over the world, most people have a cell phone. If you open the cell phone and just say, play Big C Sports Podcast, you will hear from our sponsors. You'll hear welcome to the show. You'll see all of our apps pop up, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and so many other applications that I really do appreciate with Big C Sports. And also, if you take the time to realize this is coming up on Thanksgiving, I hope that everybody's grateful for something. It doesn't mean life is easy, but please be grateful for whatever you can be grateful for. Big C, that makes sense to you? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, Thanksgiving has always been a time of gathering, but during COVID-19, Charlton, it has made it almost impossible for many families to live that tradition here in 2020. But we just hope everybody stays safe and have a great meal.
Yeah, stay great and stay safe and have a great meal. I also want to thank Comcast Spotlight being presented Big C Sports all around the world. In fact, all around the big universe. Open your cell phones like God said, let there be light. And just say play Big C Sports Podcast and all of our apps will appear. And I really do appreciate the way that's going with Big C Sports. Big C, I want to talk about one of your friends. I know a lot of sports has gone on for the ones that are not being put on pause. But I thought I saw a putty cat. Remember back in the days, I think it was Roast Bowl. I thought I saw a putty cat, Big C. Rudy Giuliani. He admitted on television, or maybe it was my mind, that he exaggerates about the story that he tells his tales for president. He said he exaggerates, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I guess exaggeration is Rudy's kind word for saying that he lies a lot.
Yeah.
When he's on television talking about his client Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And his voter irregularity scheme that he's been trying to run against the American people.
Yeah.
But, in one incident, he said there was twice as many people that voted in Detroit than that lived there. I mean, just a blatant lie. But, the thing about it, Rudy has lied to the public.
Yeah.
But he knows he can't go into court and lie to a judge, and so he never admits this in court. He just admits this on Fox television.
Yeah. Well, wasn't he in a hotel room with his wife? He was laying down on his back trying to get his pants down. Was that his wife he was with or somebody else, Big C? Your thoughts?
It looked like a maid that was in the room, Charlton, and he's sitting there fondling himself on the Borat movie. But, Rudy, I guess after sweating out his brains in that last press conference, mentally, they were running down the side of his head. Has completely lost his mind.
Be careful who you lay down with, ladies. That guy's gross. Is all fair in Level War. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Big C, they lose again. The ghost of Jameis Winston, it haunts them again, Big C. Bad read, Tom Brady. He was grumbling after a 27-24 setback to the L.A. Rams. A bad throw, a bad decision, a bad everything, and he wouldn't even shake hands, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, when you think about Tom Brady, and a lot of people have given accolades to Tom Brady for this season, and yet Tampa does have a winning record through this point of the season, Charlton. But you have to remember that Tom Brady is not used to throwing the ball deep down the field.
Yeah.
If you look at his offense in New England the last 5 years, there's been a lot of underneath routes. And here it is late in the season, you're asking Tom Brady to do something that he's not that comfortable with.
Yeah.
And it has resulted in interception.
Yeah, it's not that Tom Brady's fault, though. Leonard Fournette kept dropping passes on Monday night. The protection was spotty. The Buccaneers secondary missed an abundance of tackles as receivers Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp were doing their thing, combined for 23 catches, 275 yards, while Jared Goff repeatedly burned on the Blenches, Big C, 376 yards passing. And he actually had 39 completions, just one shy of the record, Big C, for Monday night. And then Brady didn't have his A game either. He threw 48 passes. He completed 26 for 216 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. Not very efficient at all, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, maybe Tom Brady needs to, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers asked not to play any more primetime games. He's 0-3 in primetime games, Charlton. And the last time we saw him in a primetime game, he seemed to not know it was fourth down, thinking it was third down. So he's up past his bedtime in these primetime games that they're trying to keep showcasing on national television, Charlton. But when you think about this game, the Rams have been hot. The Rams came out and they were ferocious on defense last night. They did not allow Tom Brady to get comfortable. You even think about his backs out of the backfield, Ronald Jones and Leonard Fournette. They seem to be a little apprehensive in the swing routes out in the flat, Charlton, trying to run before they caught the ball and looking to get hit.
Yeah.
But, Tampa just looked in disarray last night, and the Rams seem to be on a hot streak.
Yeah, and I think about what Tom Brady's done. Some people say, oh, he's too old. He'll come out and throw for 300 yards. Then he'll drop down to 200 yards. In the 2000, he was in the Rose Bowl, and I believe it was 1998, and he was a backup to Bob Greasy, Big C. Actually, Brian Greasy, he was a backup to Bob Greasy's son in the Rose Bowl. And also Rod Woodson was on that Rose Bowl. Michigan won the national championship that year, but he did not play in the Rose Bowl, and Greasy and Woodson are doing broadcasts. So no matter what Tom Brady does, he's already lived the life of two professional athletes, Big C. I think he's going to come back shining in this next appearance. But I just want to say congratulations to the Rams. The Rams, they were snake bitten earlier in the year, Big C. They just couldn't get their groove back. And then Goff, if I want people to notice, as we talk about the rise of the mobile quarterback, and we had an all African-American officiating crew, I thought they did a fine job. Goff had a lot of success when he got outside of the pocket, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, that's been throughout Goff's career. When Sean McVay moves the pocket with Jared Goff, he seems to be more comfortable other than just sitting in the pocket, trying to get the ball over the middle. I saw him with some overthrows in that position, but he's a more mobile quarterback than what a lot of proponents give him credit for in his best game. Just like with Baker Mayfield, your buddy up there in Cleveland.
Yeah.
When they're on the move, they're much more accurate at quarterback.
Yeah, they're much more accurate. And then Goff out of the North Bay in San Francisco, Tom Brady out of San Mateo over there by SFO. So two California boys doing their things. And Florida, of all places, also Big C, going up to the Northeast. You have the Buffalo Mighty Bills tight end. His name is Tommy Sweeney. He's been diagnosed with a serious heart condition as a result of COVID-19, and according to his head coach, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, myocarditis is something that afflicts American citizens, every citizen in the world when you have COVID-19. It is a very serious heart condition, and it's detected once you take a physical after you've been diagnosed with COVID-19. That the heart rate has changed, Charlton, and you're not getting enough air from the lungs into the bloodstream that can cause a heart attack or a stroke.
Yeah, and thank goodness they have the best of health care and the best of detection. He's only 25 years old, has been treated by cardiologists, Big C, per NFL protocol. When he is diagnosed with myocarditis, Big C, which is essentially, as you talked about, inflammation of the heart, it weakens the rest of your body and it doesn't get enough blood, and then clots can develop. And I'm just hoping that he's going to be okay. It can lead to a lot of bad things, heart attack or stroke. But when it's detected, when you have a lot of great medication and a medical expert, I think he's going to be fine. I also want to get your thoughts on something, because I think about the game last night. To me, to see an all African-American crew, the first time ever, we're in 2020. It took a pandemic. It took one of the worst recessions in the history of this country. It took so many things that just hadn't happened, Big C, in 100 years, but they did such a fine job. Why has there always been such a pushback, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's been a problem of getting that many African Americans together on one crew in the history of the NFL, because you haven't had that many African American officials in the league. But when you think about the strides that the NFL has taken during this pandemic year, Charlton, that, we've had the most African American quarterbacks start in one season, 11. We finally have an all African-American officiating crew. We've even had a game, Charleston, where there's been not only female coaches, assistant coaches on both sides of the field, but also female officials on the field. So the growth of the NFL is far beyond what we've seen, in years past. And, it's just brighter things in the future to come. Yeah,
brighter things. The first woman of color as vice president in the United States will be sworn in January 20, 2021, and we have the first time ever in the history of a league that's dominated by black men, about 75%, to give people the fair opportunity to be on the field at the same time. So really looking forward to a lot of bright things coming up in the sports universe. It's all fair in love and war. Big C, the holidays are here. I want people to be grateful, but at the same time, I'm grateful that people get opportunities. You have a quarterback from the XFL, African American, essentially ended Matt Patricia's time with the Detroit Lions. It's hard to lose decisively when you have 2 picks in the end zone. But Detroit managed to do it, Big C. The Lions have a lot of injuries on offense, and who doesn't nowadays? But getting shut out by a suspect, Panthers defense, while Walker moved the ball on Matt Patricia's defense is not a good look. The Lions were outplayed, in my opinion, every way by the Panthers team, which was just 3-7 coming into the game. And playing as backup quarterback, Carolina had 374 yards to 185 for the Lions in the multi-million-dollar quarterback. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, P.J. Walker shows what perseverance is all about. The backup quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. Now, he played under Matt Rule when he was in college at Temple. So Matt knew of this young man's abilities, Charlton. And in his first NFL start, to be able to accomplish what he did with the Carolina Panthers over the weekend. And like I said, when that happens, there's no reason to keep Matt Patricia around in Detroit. When you get a guy basically off the street that P.J. Walker came from, he was unemployed. They just brought him into training camp. And he beat out the second-string quarterback to become the second-string quarterback, kid that they drafted out of West Virginia 2 years ago. So P.J. Walker is part of the new breed of athletic quarterbacks that the NFL now is starting to showcase. He also made history in that start, Charlton. Not only is he African-American, but he came the 11th starting African-American quarterback in a single season in the NFL, which made history. So P.J. Walker told, Matt Patricia, maybe it's time to go. The things have changed.
When you think about Matthew Stafford, he's a good old boy that played, I think he grew up down in Texas, went to, I believe, Westlake High School, and ended up playing, college football, of course, being drafted high by the Detroit Lions. How has he managed to stay around so long, $100+ million contract, and then you have African Americans that can't even get a tryout at times, that go on to the XFL, and they got to get to the NFL by that route? How does he lasted so long without someone on the NFL picking him up, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, Matthew Stafford, he has one of those contracts just like his cousin in Minnesota, just like Matt Ryan down in Atlanta, that's going to guarantee you being on a roster because you got dead money if you get rid of them. The contracts are structured that way. So teams are forced to eat the ineptitude of these guys. Yeah,
it's a shame, but people just want an opportunity. So get ready for a lot of hours of speculation over Patricia's job status. The Lions play on Thanksgiving, assuming he still has a job coming Thursday. It's amazing that we're always finding the Detroit Lions playing on Turkey Day, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, it's a tradition, Charlton. They actually started the Turkey Day tradition in the NFL.
Oh, really?
The Detroit Lions did. A celebration of Motown when they were playing at Tiger Stadium, Charlton. They started this off in the 50s, and the NFL has kept it a tradition ever since.
Yeah, well, I wish everybody nothing but the best, especially for the holidays. If Trump can pardon Turkey, maybe they can pardon Patricia up there in Motown. Big C's all fair in Leavenworth. I want to go to a team that's making the guys, those old guys down in Florida, all their sprinklers are getting tight, Big C, as you always like to say. The Pittsburgh Mighty Steelers, they play the Baltimore Ravens. That game's going to be in Pittsburgh. It's also on Thanksgiving Day, and it can officially put the AFC North away. The Steelers have a multiple strengths, including their exceptional receiving core, Big C, like the days of Lynn Swann and John Stallworth. Johnson was big on Sunday, 12 catches, 111 yards. The rookie out of Canada in Notre Dame, his name is Chase Claypool, had thrown another touchdown, while Juju Smith-Schuster out of USC didn't do too much. But it was his birthday, and now he can put up huge numbers if the coverage is focused elsewhere. The Steelers are 10-0, and who knew that Brown would not work out so well for the Steelers? It worked out pretty well for them, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, as you look at the players that they accumulated in that trade for Antonio Brown, Charlton, Claypool, leading the NFL in touchdown receptions, was part of that. But the Steelers have always been able to find wide receivers. Brown was a 7th-round draft pick when the Steelers got him, Charlton. But, all these receivers have benefited from Ben Roethlisberger's return. Last year, the inability of the quarterbacks of the Steelers to find their open receivers led to the demise of that team. With Ben back this year, they're 10-0, Charlton. And they're facing the Ravens on Turkey Day. So maybe, the Ravens might have gone to the White House and right down the street and asked for a party because things are not looking good for them, Charlton. And if they lose this game against the Steelers, they may be totally out of the playoff picture with the NFL season the way that it is, and they'll be at least 2 games behind the rest of the pack.
Like Donald Trump says, count all the votes, count all the votes. Then he says, no, don't count the votes. Now count all the votes except from the states that he won. Speaking of Donald Trump pardoning that turkey, make sure you get the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger. It comes with exotic meats, and you get it at participating restaurants. Big C, how do you think Donald Trump would have done with the Big C burger? You know his finger looking good. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, Donald Trump looks like he's been eating some stuff that's not too good for his Twinkies and Diet Coke.
Yeah, he needs the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger. I think Melania Trump, she would love the Big C burger because it does come with exotic meats and is all fair in love and war. Big C, I want to talk to these good old boys, the Vikings. They love exotic meats too. The NFL Minnesota Vikings. It was nice while it lasted when you think about it, Big C. This good old boy up in Minnesota that's making a lot of money, Kirk Cousins. The Vikings won 3 in a row after 1-5 start. Looked like a team that could still factor in the NFC playoff race. And that's what made a loss Sunday to the Dallas Cowboys look so sad and inexplicable, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, you thought if they had gone into Dallas and did what they normally do, get the ball in Dalvin Cook's hands at least 25 to 30 times, Charlton, that it would give the Vikings an opportunity to run all over the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
Dallas Cowboys were just stumbling all over themselves until your friend and your cousin showed up there from Minnesota, Charlton, and just gave it away. Dallas now has a pulse.
Yeah, Dallas has a pulse. And you know, we were just saying Ezekiel Elliott looks like he's lost motivation. It really wasn't that. It's like if he doesn't touch the ball 20 times, he doesn't really get going like a train. You got to get it started up. You can't just give it, 5 or 10 touches and hope it's going to do its thing. The Vikings, a 2-7 Cowboys team. They led them late, but gave up a go-ahead touchdown with 1:37 left on the clock. And Kirk Cousins could not move the Vikings into field goal range, and the Vikings end up losing 31-28. We just talked about the kid that came out of the XFL that led the Lions lost to Carolina. And then you have a guy like Kirk Cousins who's making $80+ million, Big C, and he can't move the ball down the field when they need it the most, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, P.J. Walker is working on a minimal contract there in Carolina.
Yeah.
And you got Kirk Cousins, he's making $32 million guaranteed this year, Charles.
Yeah, this year.
But he lacks the ability of a P.J. Walker. And I think that the NFL needs to understand you can't keep paying these old, archaic white quarterbacks to think that the league revolves around them anymore.
Yeah.
Marquism is the guy who gets the job done, Charlton, not in a name from the past.
Yeah, it's not in a name from the past. And I wanna ask you before we get into Big C's, NFL power rankings, when you think about what you just said, and it just kind of dawned on me, Big C, and I hope that everybody's gonna have as great of a Thanksgiving as humanly possible. But I think about the eye test. I was talking to a friend of mine today, and she drives this brand new shiny Cadillac Escalade, and she was talking about other vehicles too, and everybody likes the shiny pick. But you have a lot of these African-American athletes, they perform like an Escalade. They're big, strong, and powerful, but they take such a hard time getting the opportunity where we get people who don't even perform that make 5 times the money, Big C. Why is that still the case in 2020?
Well, Charlton, that's because contracts have been in place. That's how the league status quo has been set up for decades. And so as the things are changing, when you look at the minority quarterbacks now in the NFL, as we spoke about, we have a record number this year that have been started, 11.
Yeah.
11 years ago, Charlton, you would not have had 5 African-American quarterbacks starting in the NFL.
Yeah.
But a new wave is coming, Charlton, and with that new wave, new money comes also. You look at the 3 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL are African-American.
Yeah.
Mr. Mahomes in Kansas City, Deshaun Watson down in Houston, and Russell Wilson up in Seattle. Those are the 3 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, African-American.
Yeah.
Change is slow, but change is here.
Yeah, change is slow and it's here. I just want people to get the opportunity. Like the African-American referees, they've done the job. They're qualified. It's not about saying, we want to take somebody's job. People just want to compete. Put everyone on the starting blocks and see who can compete and come across the finish line the fastest. Big C, I want to get into Big C's NFL power rankings. Big C's thoughts on Week 12. Going to go from 10 down to 1. It's just Big C's thoughts. You don't have to agree. but give me your opinion. Coming in at number 10 on Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the number 10 Cleveland Browns, they're 7-3 because they run the ball. Big C, your thoughts?
And you know, as long as Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are touching the football, Cleveland will always win, Charlton. But they have to touch the ball 40 times a game between those two guys.
Yeah.
You think about that. If Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb can touch the ball 40 times a game, the Cleveland Browns are 7-3.
Yeah.
And you can look at their losses, Charlton. Those two players have not touched the ball out of the backfield that many times. Baker Mayfield is the Achilles heel of this team, and so he needs to give the ball to the running back.
Yeah, you got to turn around and do what the late, great coach at USC, John McKay, said. Run the football because it's not that heavy. Number 9 coming in at Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Number 9, Big C, the place where you don't need to bring your own libations because they make them for you, the Tennessee Titans at 7-3, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, the Titans have a powerful running game also, Charlton. And when you think about the success being up there in the cold of the year down in Tennessee, Charlton, Derrick Henry, that horse can run all over. But Mike Vrabel has a very stingy defense. And Ryan Tannehill is a much more exceptional quarterback and mobile, more than what people have given him credit for.
Yeah, and then Henry likes to get his chest in the wind doing his thing for the Tennessee Titans. Big C, the Green Bay Packers coming in at number 8 on Big C's NFL Top 10 Power Rankings. They could use a little better defense, but their offense is legit. The Green Bay Packers coming in at 7-3, Big C, your thoughts?
And there's a log jam at 7-3, but Green Bay slipped a little bit, Charlton, you know, this week after that loss in Indianapolis. But Aaron Rodgers is high profile at quarterback. His mobility and his anticipation of where to throw the ball is uncanny in the NFL. They do need some help on defense, but they lead their division. Yeah, they lead their division. And they didn't have 4 turnovers, they would have won that game against Indianapolis. Big C, number 7 at Big C's NFL Top 10 Power Rankings. None other than the Los Angeles Rams. They're 7-3, Big C. Your thoughts? And the Rams are on the move, Charlton. Early in the year, they lost a couple of close games, Charlton, but they seem to figure it all out since then. Their defense has been tenacious. Aaron Donald's a one-man wrecking crew. The secondary has been outstanding for the Rams. And Jared Goff just seems to get better and better each week with Kupp and Woods. Yeah, he could use a couple of Big C burgers to put some skin on those bones or some meat on those bones, Big C. But it's all fair and level war. They gave him $100 million anyway. He doesn't need to put much more meat on his bones. Doing a good job last night down in Tampa, of all places. It's tough to win there. Coming in at Big C's NFL Power Rankings at number 6 would be the mighty Buffalo Bills. Them good old boys are also 7-3, Big C. Your thoughts? Well, they're leading the NFC East, Charlton, and seem to have locked up the AFC East seem to have locked up that division. Josh Allen has been a steady quarterback for most of the year. The defense has been good in Buffalo, and they seem to have found their stride and getting ready for the playoffs. They're getting their thing ready for the playoffs. Also coming in for the Green Bay Packers, the LA Rams, and the Buffalo Bills. Those are all California quarterbacks. So California, the Golden State, landing in Big C's NFL Power Top 10. Coming in at number 5 in Big C's NFL Power Top 10, the Indianapolis Colts. Them good old boys are 7-3 also, Big C. Your thoughts? You know, outstanding defensive play from the Colts. I mean, they figured out what Green Bay did, and they were able to stop them. They forced 4 turnovers in that game, and that's what you have to do at this time of the year. You have to have a ball-hawking defense, and they proved that. And Phillip Rivers proved that he's a gamer. He played through injuries. The running backs were outstanding, and the Colts walked away with a victory on Sunday. And I don't think Phillip Rivers has ever missed a game. I don't know if I'm right about that, but I don't think he's ever missed a game. He really deserves the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger, and it's made with exotic meats. Speaking of exotic meats, coming in at number 4 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings, the Seattle Seahawks. They're 7-3 on the season, Big C. Your thoughts? You know, only if they can get a consistent defense up there in Seattle, Charlton, they might even be ranked higher. But the defense has been their Achilles heel. This is the highest scoring team in the NFL, averaging 32 points a game, Charlton. And they put on an offensive display over the weekend and pulled out another victory. They pulled out another victory. So the Seahawks will get pardoned by POTUS, as POTUS is going to ask Mike Pence to pardon him before he's kicked out of the White House. Mark my words. You can Google it. You heard it first on Big C Sports. Coming in at Big C's NFL Top 10 Power Rankings, the number 3 New Orleans Saints at 8-2 on the season.
And they're playing with a quarterback who's thrown his first touchdown at 30, Big C. Your thoughts?
And as everyone can say, is who that playing quarterback for the Saints. And we saw that with Taysom Hill, who shut down all the naysayers, who made them eat crow for Thanksgiving. As the Saints went out there with their blinding, dominating defense and shut down the Atlanta Falcons. Taysom Hill, the Swiss Army knife that just sliced up that Atlanta defense, Charlton, keeps the New Orleans Saints the top of their division.
Top of the division. Instead of eating crow, you could have been eating a Big C burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meats. I'm sure Taysom Hill will like getting his hands on the Big C burger. Coming in at number 2, NFL's Big C's Power Rankings, the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. They're 9-1, Big C. Your thoughts?
And what can you say about Mr. Mahomes and his friends out there in KC, Charlton? You leave him any time on the clock, you're going to get your butt kicked. And that's what he did to the Raiders out in Vegas. They gambled, scored early, left too much time. Kansas City went to 9-1.
So what happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. The Chiefs come back home for the win. It's all fair and level. We're number 1 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. I'm sure the speakers are getting tighter in Miami, and the terrible towels are whipping around Big C. The Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, them good old boys, are 10-0, and they're number 1 in Big C's NFL Power Rankings. Big C, your thoughts?
You know, where are all the media proponents that said 2 years ago it was time for Mike Tomlin to go, that he had lost control of the Steelers organization when he had to get rid of Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown? How's it worked out for all those guys in the media now that the Steelers are 10-0 and they have nothing good to say about Tomlin still?
It's all fair and level. Well, that's Big C's thoughts on Big C's NFL football power rankings. It's all fair and level. Well, we're going to take what's called the Big C pause, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about, is the NFL going on pause? We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we're back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the number 1 podcast network in the universe, iHeartRadio podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. You can follow us on Spotify. There's so many apps, and I really do appreciate the growth of Big C Sports. Also, I want to say thank you, Comcast Spotlight, presenting Big C Sports to the universe, just like God said, let there be light. Open your cell phone and say play Big C Sports Podcast. You will hear from our sponsors. You will hear welcome to the show. I will introduce Big C as the Mystic, and I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. We're on so many apps. I really do appreciate the growth. Big C, I don't think this is going to happen. In fact, I know it won't happen because there's so much money involved. This train is already rolling. The NFL, will the NFL ever go into a panic mode? Over the past 2 weeks, listen up, Big C, over the past 2 weeks, the NFL has had more than 120 positive COVID-19 players, Big C. Also, the league has had only 108 positive tests up until that point, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, when you look at the positive test, Charlton, is going as society is going. As we see the rise in positive cases across the U.S., there's no way that the NFL or even college football or anybody, Charlton, can be oblivious to that. You're going to be affected. But the NFL, will they panic? No, because each game on this podcast means $30 million to the league. And you think that the league is going to give up $30 million? No, they will bring in all the players that they need to bring in, Charlton, to participate. They really don't care about that. They just say the games must go on.
They say the games must go on, and I just hope that everybody stays safe through all of it. It's all fair and level. Where I want to ask you a little bit, I heard, someone that was doing a radio show, a national radio show, when I was doing an internship in college, Rush Limbaugh. With Donald Trump, Rush Limbaugh fully reversed course on Monday, thrashing, Trump's legal team, and talked about his unhinged press conferences detailing baseless election fraud and conspiracies, Big C. Well, Donald Trump, think about it. Well, Donald Trump asked Rush Limbaugh to give back his Presidential Medal of Freedom. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Rush would probably tell him he didn't hear what he said. He just unplugged his earplugs, and say, I couldn't hear you. But, Donald Trump, everybody now is walking away from Donald Trump. And to have Rush Limbaugh criticize his legal team that he's putting out there Charleston, they remind me of the clowns at the circus, all of them when they start jumping out of a car.
Yeah.
You got this little tiny car, and you got 12 clowns jump out of it, Charleston. Everybody's like, wow, where'd they come from?
Yeah.
That's Donald Trump's legal team.
Yeah.
So Rush Limbaugh was correct about the clowns that are representing Donald Trump, but that lets you know where we are as a nation.
Yeah.
That the media outlet stands for this buffoonery being broadcast every day.
Yeah. And what happened to the days of Ralph the Cronkite? Just like Big C Sports, just the facts. That's what we say. Google everything that we say. Big C, I want to jump down to the world of college football. The Georgia Bulldogs finally has its quarterback, though it probably is too late to salvage the Bulldogs season. They had a lot of lofty goals coming into the year. Too bad, JT Daniels. He's a quarterback out of USC, but he went to Mater Dei High School in Santa Ana, and they were national champions in high school in 2017. I actually saw him play his final high school football game before he went to USC. He should have gotten a shot sooner with Georgia. And, talking to JT, he says the defenses in the SEC are a lot easier to throw on than the defenses in the Pac-12, Big C. It's all fair and love and war. He is a transfer from Southern Cal. He took his first snaps in the red and black last week. Think about this. First time on the field at Georgia throwing against the SEC defense, Big C. 401 yards, 4 touchdowns, and a 31-24 victory over Mississippi State. More quarterbacks want to lead the Pac-12 for the SEC now, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charleston, Georgia had planned on having Jamie Newman at quarterback, a transfer from Wake Forest, but he opted out for COVID-19.
Yeah.
JT Daniels could not get cleared. It took a long time because he had a horrific knee injury that set him down last season at USC, so it took a long time to get medical clearance from him.
Yeah.
But it showed that, with the ability he has, and having superior athletes on his team now that he's down in Georgia, a better receiving core than what he ever had at USC. He never had those type of numbers at USC, but now that he has athletes that are willing to go out there and make plays for him, it makes him look like an all-star quarterback. And that 400 yards, Charlton, if he can continue to do that, his future is bright looking into next season.
Yeah, looking very bright. You think about what he did, his display of strong arm Daniels, did the same thing at Mater Dei, also Southern Cal before he was injured. Completed 6 passes that covered at least 28 yards, 3 of them going for 40 or more yards, Big C. The number 13 Bulldogs are 5-2. They play at South Carolina 2-6 on Saturday. Now that the defense has been able to see him, Big C, you think he'll pass another 400 yards or maybe he'll drop down to 300? Your thoughts?
Well, Charleston, he has tremendous athletes, and it's all about the opportunities that your offense puts you in. Georgia's always been known for having great defense.
Yeah.
But to have a quarterback with the young receiving core that they have that has the ability to throw, and it's not like he's just coming off the bench, Charleston. He was a 2-year starter at USC prior to transferring to Georgia.
No, he's doing his thing. He's a prep All-American, too, out of Santa Ana Mater Dei. It's all fair and love and war. I want to ask you about Week 13 college football COVID-19 tracker. I know people get caught up in, hey, it's Thanksgiving, and people are out trying to do the best they can to stay healthy, Big C. But Week 13, the COVID tracker, think about this. Saturdays, Arkansas at Missouri game is been postponed, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this is what we're going to go through, Charlton. Each week, we talk about more and more college football games being canceled.
Yeah.
Last week, I believe that it was up to 80 that had been canceled through the season thus far.
Yeah.
We're going to clearly get well over 100 games being canceled this year, Charlton. And so this is going to be a turkey shoot, literally, to get through college football.
It will be Vanderbilt home game versus Tennessee, originally scheduled for a Saturday. That's been put on the Big C pause. Big C, your thoughts?
And it will be a continuation, Charlton. Regardless of the teams that we talk about, this is just something that's going to occur. You cannot avoid COVID-19. It does not discriminate, and you have to look at the health and welfare of the students.
Ironically, when Donald Trump was pardoning the turkey, and his wife is so hooty-tooty, she was about 15 feet away from the turkey. His wife, Melania Trump, was further away from a turkey than she is from people, and they were not wearing a mask. I guess some people don't learn. When you think about it, Big C, the Apple Cup, which is a big game in the state of Washington, it has their annual rivalry game between Washington, the Huskies, and the Washington State Cougars. It's not going to be played on schedule on Friday because of the Big C pause. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, as we look at the landscape, the state of Washington, which was the original hot spot for COVID-19 in the United States, and now all these traditional games, Charlton, are going to have to look to the next year.
They're all in the Big C, Paul's Pac-12. Think about this. They've moved Arizona State's home game against Utah that USC just beat up on to Sunday in hopes that the Sun Devils can play a game this weekend. Charlotte's home game against Western Kentucky, which has been moved to Saturday on Tuesday, December 1st, Big C. On the West Coast again, San Diego State, the Aztecs at Bulldog Stadium in Fresno State. That's been canceled. That's on the Big C. Pause. Louisiana Tech, Terry Bradshaw's alma mater at Florida International. That's been canceled. It's on the pause. And then Arkansas in the SEC at Missouri. That's also on the Big C. Pause. It's been postponed, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this is the landscape. I mean, it's an unfortunate thing for college football. They're not like the NFL where these teams are, the league is built totally on money. And the NFL is, fighting to cancel, not to cancel games.
Yeah.
But college football has no choice. You can't go out and bring in players off a reserve roster and say, okay, we're going to play. When you're down 10 offensive starters or 10 defensive starters, Charlton, it's not even feasible to compete.
Yeah.
And that's what these coaches and universities are doing. Saying we just don't have the personnel to go out there and look bad.
Yeah, unless you're Dabo Swinney, he says put those kids out there anyway. He needs his money. Couldn't care less about COVID, Dabo Swinney. And he said he's a Christian, Big C. All fair, love, and war. However, the FCS conferences, they are developing plans to play their 2020 schedule during the spring semester if health conditions are deemed safe, Big C. All 13 conferences, they opted not to play their league schedules this fall due to concerns surrounding COVID-19, the pandemic. The NCAA, your friends, they've approved an FCS spring playoff that has reduced from 24 schools to 16, and the parents will be announced on April the 18th. I think they're talking about 4 rounds of games will begin the following weekend and continue through a championship over the May 14th through 16th. They're talking about, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, everybody is trying to get in for the money as much as they can.
Yeah.
They're talking more about the playoffs on their football subdivision level than they are talking about the season. So who even knows what's going to happen at that time, Charlton? I know they're talking about vaccine on the horizon for COVID-19, but we don't know what the health and welfare of these players will be at that time come the spring, Charlton. Will COVID-19 still be spreading? Will they even be able to kick off the season?
Yeah, ironically, Big C, when I saw the crew last night broadcasting or covering the game for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Los Angeles Rams, an all African-American crew, it was touching because it's like I haven't seen that before. I mean, it's amazing that it took this long to happen, and they actually did it down in Florida where a lot of things, I guess, they're more open. I don't think they have it's just my opinion. They went down to Florida where the cases have been spiking, and that's where it allowed 4 black men to play, referee for the NFL. It's just my cynical mind. It's all fair and love and war. College football, Penn State, the Nittany Lions, Big C, they become the first preseason top 10 team to ever start a season 0-5 on Saturday when it lost 41-21 to Iowa. For a team that began the season ranked number 7, Big C, coming off an 11-2 campaign, the loss continued to be stunning this fall. It's the first time ever that Penn State, the Nittany Lions, have been 0-5, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this is a team that's been hard hit and beset by injuries, Charlton. They've lost their 2 top running backs. They've lost their top tight ends. Their quarterback went down. They lost their best linebacker. So they've had a lot of key positions, Charlton, that went down. And this is why you get a lot of teams that cancel games due to COVID-19 protocol, Charlton, because without those star players, they really don't have the horses in the lineup to pull them through. But Penn State has been an abysmal year.
Yeah.
And no one can put their finger on just the one cause. Even though they've had the injuries, you would think that a big-time Power 5 program like this would have enough depth to make this team formidable at any time, Charlton.
Yeah, I mean, Coach Franklin should not be anywhere near the hot seat. I know they went to the Rose Bowl. He had won a Big Ten championship, went to the Rose Bowl. They lost to USC at the Rose Bowl. It was a great game, though. And then he's been 11-2 last year. He's been knocking on that door of Big Ten championship every year. But with the COVID-19 knocking everybody flat, Big C, I would hate to see them talking about him moving on. If Jim Harbaugh can have a lot more years of mediocrity, you don't want to punish Franklin. Give him a couple of years to build that program back, especially once we're past COVID. Speaking of Jim Harbaugh, next up for the Penn State Nittany Lions, Big C, it's a road game at the Big House at Michigan, which is also struggling early in his 2020 campaign. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, this is a game that somebody has to lose. Well, you can also have a tie.
They can tie.
In college football, Tulsa, but
Yeah.
It doesn't look good for either one of those head coaches as this season winds down.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't agree with that, Big C. I would say Franklin has more leeway because he's been to the Rose Bowl representing that university. They lost to USC, and then Harbaugh's never went to the Rose Bowl, Big C, and he's had enough time to do it. They already have a good recruiting class every year coming in there to Michigan. So if there's anyone that's going to be in the hot seat, I would say that it would be mostly Jim Harbaugh. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Harbaugh's been on the hot seat ever since he's been in Michigan.
Yeah.
But people need to understand the University of Michigan. Charlton, this is not a powerhouse program that people, want to have that illusion like. Just like with the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL. Michigan has rarely won 10 games in a season, regardless of which coaches that you've had there since Bo Schembechler has left, Charlton.
Yeah.
This is not a team that has dominated the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And so the aspirations, the national aspirations about Michigan are far-fetched because they have just never dominated that conference. You talked about the double-digit wins that Franklin has had at Penn State,
Yep.
which should buy him some time, Charlton, during this horrific season.
Yeah, and remember what happened with Joe Paterno and Sandusky, and they had that molestation ring going on at Penn State, and that program was in the dumps. I mean, it could have ended up like SMU from back in the day when they were shut down, Big C. So Franklin took over that turmoil, and he brought them back to prominence, and it didn't take him a long time to do it. So I think his job, at least in my opinion, it should be pretty safe. College football, Alabama wide receiver Devonta Smith, he set an SEC record on Saturday when he hauled in his 32nd career touchdown reception for the #1 Alabama Crimson Tide, Big C, the game against Kentucky. Smith's 10-yard touchdown catch from quarterback Mac Jones put Alabama ahead 14-3 in the second quarter and pushed them past, get this, former Florida receiver Chris Doering, Big C, the former Alabama star Amari Cooper. In the league record books, Big C, the senior entered Saturday's game as Alabama's leading receiver on the season with 56 receptions, 759 yards, 8 touchdowns after choosing to spurn the NFL in return for his senior season, and he can't wait to get a hold of the USC Trojans if they come to Tuscaloosa. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, when you think about the numbers of the receivers in the SEC,
Yeah.
you talk about J.T. Daniels early at the University of Georgia in his first start,
Yep.
passing for 400 yards in that game. And we've seen where Mac Jones is high in the Heisman race there at Alabama, being a first-year starter for the Crimson Tide.
Yeah.
But, as you look at Smith and this phenomenal season that he's having, you think about the number of receivers that Alabama have in the NFL that are top-flight receivers. You
Yeah.
think about a Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Charlton, Calvin Ridley. These guys who have become all-star players in the NFL, and he has better than numbers than all of them. You think about the two rookies that they have now, the one with the Raiders and the one with the Broncos, Ridley and the other kid.
Yeah.
This guy has been better than all of them. So just think about the great receivers that play in the SEC, and this is the reason why the Pac-12 doesn't want to play the SEC.
Yes, I don't think they're worried about the SEC, especially when they realize you can score 63 points on an SEC defense. And a lot of people say, well, they play good defense in the SEC. 63 points, they don't even give up 63 points in the Pac-12 in basketball, Big C. I don't think any of those good old boys from Trojan country are afraid to come out to the SEC. College football also, speaking of that, Big C, college football playoffs. And this is what I don't like, because I'm like Trump. Count all the votes. I mean, from all the conferences, if that makes sense to you, Big C. Now, college football, the playoff top 6 teams, this at least what the good old boys from the South are saying, Big C. Alabama's coming in at #1. You have Notre Dame coming in at #2. Then you have Clemson at #3. Ohio State at 4. They have Texas A&M at 5. Florida at 6. On the West Coast, they bring in Oregon is top ranked in the Pac-12, and then they have number 14 for Oregon, and followed by USC at 18. And I'm telling you, in the Pac-12, they play better defense than what you're finding down in the SEC. Nobody's giving up 63 points on the Pac-12 turf. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, but it's about the games that are played. It's about the strength of schedule. And, the dominance of Alabama. They'll hang 63 on anybody, Charlton. It doesn't make any difference what conference that they're from. They've been consistent. When you look at Nick Saban's record over the last decade, there's no coach that can hold a candle to him.
Yeah.
As far as the production that he has and the quality of players that he has had in his organization. He's not an up and down guy. I mean, a bad year in Alabama is that you lose 2 games.
Yeah.
And everybody's trying to figure out what went wrong with you. But when you talk about the top 6 in the college football playoffs, that's a selection committee that picks those teams, Charlton.
Yeah.
And as you see, they chose 3 teams out of the SEC that would qualify in the top 6: Alabama, Florida, Texas A&M.
Yeah.
That they felt that those were some quality programs playing at this time of the year, as well as Notre Dame out of the ACC. You have Ohio State out of the Big Ten and Clemson out of the ACC. So 2 teams out of the ACC, 3 out of the SEC, and 1 out of the Big Ten that are the dominant teams that all the pollsters feel at this point of the season.
Yeah, the pollsters, they need to put their name on it. Like the senators that won't pass a food, I think it's called the CARE Act, been sitting on POTUS' desk since the summertime. And they were showing people in food lines, miles and miles of food lines. And these are white Americans, Big Z. Black Americans learn how to live through lean times. A lot of white Americans, they take their lives or have a lot of other issues. And I'm just telling, whoever's counting the votes and saying what schools can get in, we need to have those people be known. I want to get your thoughts on something. Alabama, of course, they've been a phenomenal team. But who was conspicuously missing from last year's Final Four? Alabama. They were had by Auburn, Big C, a team that barely got by and beat Oregon. So if Oregon played Auburn closer than Alabama did last year, what does this talk about the Pac-12 doesn't play good enough football to put us up in the preseason top 5, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, because they had lost so much offensively from Oregon, who was the best team. They lost their quarterback. Alabama returned their quarterback that was playing at that time. That's one of those anomalies when Auburn beat Alabama.
Yeah.
But, when you think about the losses that Oregon suffered in the Pac-12 last year and even SC, Charlton, but it comes down to the quality of wins also.
Yeah.
Are you winning nail biters that you have to win in the last couple seconds of the game? Do you dominate your opponents? That's what the selection committee looks at. They look at how well you win games, Charlton. Style points mean a lot when it comes down to the selection committee.
Yeah.
It's just like walking down the runway at a fashion show. Got to have the right strut. And if you're not having the right strut on the football field, Charlton, you're not going to make the playoffs.
Yeah, you just made Donald Trump perk up talking about strut and dating 20-year-old girls. Big C is off there in Level War. Speaking of having the right strut, Alabama's made the case. They're good offensively. They're good defensively. They have a lot of good players. What turns Big C on? Let's say if you're on the selection committee, what turns you on about seeing Notre Dame other than them being a sexy school, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I think about what Notre Dame has done, Charlton. Brian Kelly has turned the program around. Is that they've gone out and they've had resounding victories. That's the thing that Notre Dame has brought to the table, Charlton. Is that you're leading your conference and you're having resounding victories. And you have 8 of them. You knocked off a team that was number 1 in the country.
Yeah.
Regardless of who's on the field, you won the game. That's what you're supposed to do. If you lose that game, people are going to say you're not as good as you should be.
Yeah.
But when you go out on the biggest of stages, Charlton, and you play the best opponents, and they got another tough one this week where they play North Carolina.
Yeah.
Mac Brown's quarterback threw for 550 yards and 7 touchdowns last week.
Yeah.
So Notre Dame will be put to the test again. If they get over this hurdle against North Carolina, Charlton, no one can doubt Notre Dame.
Okay, well, let me put Big C on the college football committee. What turns you on about Clemson? We know they've been doing their thing over the years. They had Watson go there, and he won a national championship playing against Alabama. Now they have Trevor Lawrence. He's been doing his thing. What turns you on about seeing Clemson again in the national championship Final Four, Big C? Your thoughts?
Consistency, Charlton. That's the thing. When you bring consistency to the table, this year Clemson's a little weak on defense. They have not had their defensive stalwarts on that side of the ball. But their offense has been explosive in every game, even that loss to Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Their offense has been explosive. But they have a trade brand. And that's what the selection committee looked at. Do you travel? Who watches you? And when you play primetime games, what are the TV ratings? Because that's how everybody's making the money.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the primetime games where you're pulling in large numbers, Charlton, the selection committee is really not interested in you.
Let me take you to the big house, Big C. It's no longer the days of Woody Hayes, and he clotheslined a player for Clemson back in the day, if I still recall that, Big C. They made a need him last year to clothesline another player for Clemson when they played in the playoff game. But what turns you on about Ohio State? They're always winning the Big Ten, and as if it's just Ohio State and everybody else, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, this means that you can always get the best. The best want to be a part of your program, and you can develop those players, Charlton. When you look in and year out, Ohio State is developing those players, Charlton. So that's something that they've brought to the table. They always have style points when they win. They win by big numbers, and they beat the teams that are even good. The ranked teams, when you go out and you play ranked teams on your schedule, Charlton, every year, and you beat those teams, that's what you look for in a championship contender.
Okay, now you said a magic word. I want to ask you about Texas A&M. I saw them play in the Cotton Bowl. I think they were back in what's called the Big 8 Conference at that time, or it could have been Southwest Conference. They played Ohio State. The last time, as far as I recall, that Texas A&M won a conference championship, Chris Carter was playing wide receiver, and Chris Spielman was on defense, and they beat Texas A&M down in the Cotton Bowl. This is a team that should definitely go right back and play in the Big 12. What turns you on about having Texas A&M ranked anywhere near the top 5, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they finally gotten over the hump that they beat ranked teams this year. You know, it's been a struggle this year. You know, over the past couple of years, they brought in not Dabo Swinney, but Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah.
And he has finally gotten A&M on track. But they're playing in the top conference in the United States. And when you only have that one loss in the conference, Charlton, you're most likely having an opportunity to get to the playoffs.
Yeah, they just haven't been able to compete since they moved over to the SEC, and they did it for the money. Now, Florida, they haven't had a national championship caliber team since Tim Tebow left. They went back-to-back national champions at the time, and that was under Coach Urban Meyer. Since then, they've been kind of hanging around the middle of the pack of the SEC. They're a good team. It was not an impressive win over Vanderbilt, but a win is a win. And they also lost the game on the road at A&M. Why would they be number 6, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, they're number 6, Charlton, because of their offensive productivity. When you look at Kyle Trask leading the nation in touchdown passes, Charlton, their defense has been good. And you think about the one game that they lost. They lost to Texas A&M, a conference team that is ranked in the top 6 in the country, Charlton.
Yeah.
That gives you credibility.
I'm going to ask you 2 more questions. Now, I don't want you to throw up, okay? I mean that because I know how you guys are biased. Count all the votes, Big C. If you look at the Pac-12, you got Oregon's undefeated, Washington's undefeated, Colorado's undefeated, USC's undefeated, and all of those teams have had a win on the road, Big C, especially USC, to go into Utah, which rarely loses a game over the last 10 years at home, and to beat them by about 3 touchdowns, Big C. There's something to say about Pac-12 football that lands as many people in college football in the NFL draft as any other conference, and they were the second winningest conference last year in bowl games. Why would they not have anyone preseason ranked in the top 10, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, you said in bowl games, Charlton, but not during the regular season. You have to win the regular season to be a dominant team, and that's something that the Pac-12 has not done. When you look at the conference, you talk about the late start that they had.
Yeah.
Nobody in the conference has played more than 3 games. You can't take teams that have played just 3 games and say that they look better than teams that have played 7, 8, and 9 games, Charlton, and those teams are undefeated.
Yeah.
That is the reason why USC is down there. USC and Oregon, until they get to that threshold, Charlton, of playing at least 6 games, they're not really going to rise that high in the rankings.
Well, I would like to add myself to the bowl committee and take the conference. You only got 5 Power 5 conferences, 5 of them. Take the champions from those conferences and look at what they've done in conference to see if they deserve a right to play for the college football Final Four. I want to also thank Comcast Spotlight for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. When you think about it, Big C, Comcast Spotlight presented Big C Sports just like your cell phone, and God said, let there be light. Just open your phone and say, play Big C Sports Podcast. You'll see all of our apps pop up. I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports, whether it's Apple, Spotify, Google Podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio Podcast. There's so many, and I really do appreciate the way things have grown with Big C Sports. As we always tell you, For those of you coming up for Thanksgiving, maybe you don't have the turkey that you want, but just be grateful. You can always have the Big C burger. It is a tasty burger, and it comes with exotic meat. You get it at your participating restaurants. It goes great with Budweiser Zero. It has 0 alcohol, and it goes great with the Big C burger. Big C, I know we have one more day. I guess this could be called maybe Thanksgiving Eve, but I'm so grateful about so many things that are happening in life. Wishing health, wealth, and wisdom to everybody. What are you grateful for coming up on this great Thanksgiving, Big C? Your thoughts?
Charlton, I'm always grateful for the opportunity to wake up every morning, to have another opportunity to achieve. And that's what anybody could ever hope for, Charlton. I mean, I don't put my aspirations too high. I just keep myself steady.
Well, it's always great to give God the glory. I do appreciate it for so many things. Keeping prayers out for everybody. Big C, back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown, and he is known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in this sports universe?
Well, Charlton, if the Pac-12 could somehow play at least 7 games this year, maybe they'll get a nod into the college football playoffs, but that's a high hurdle to cross. Once again, I want to thank our frontline healthcare workers, nurses, doctors, first responders, Charlton. They jump every hurdle every day, keeping America safe.
They keep America safe, and you can too, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide. Follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you, there's never, ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and ask for help, because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.